Hello everyone. For today's lesson, what we're going to do is we're going to review the Myself and I photo project. Basically, in this project, you're going to take a picture of yourself and put it into another image. Basically, that image needs to be an older image, hopefully something that is a number of years older, but it doesn't have to necessarily be something from when you were a baby. It could be from when you were a toddler or even like in middle school ages, whatever it needs to be. We're just looking for an image that's at least a couple years old, so this way you can see a major difference. So for today's lesson, I have a picture of myself and my dad at the Philadelphia Zoo. I took a picture and added myself in. This isn't necessarily the best example that I could have done. I definitely could have played with this a little bit better. If I pre-planned it, I could have had someone else take a photo of me outside to try to get that feel of natural sunlight versus studio lighting. So basically, you can see I have a little bit more of studio lighting on me, and I had to try to adjust that to make it match outside lighting. Natural light is always going to look a little bit different than a portrait lighting. So because of that, I had to try to play with it a lot, but for me, it still didn't necessarily look perfect. The other thing is we also are going to need to play with proportions. I would say that I made myself just a little tad too big, and not only that, but the thing that's not matching is if basically the horizon line is not matching. Since the horizon line is not matching and the lighting's not perfect, that's why we can kind of still tell that there's some kind of issue. So what do I mean by horizon line? For this picture, if we were to essentially extend this out for myself, the horizon line, you can see my belt loop would be somewhere down here. My dad's legs are not that much taller than me, so basically our hip should be about the same exact height, seeing that I'm only about an inch shorter than my dad. So one of the things I would have had to play with this, and I do have a little room to do so, is I would have to set myself a little bit smaller and bring myself up. Now, I added a layer mask in order to pull myself out from behind my dad, or I'm sorry, put myself behind my dad rather than being in front of it. So I'm going to just pull this layer mask off so I can play with it. Then I can readjust myself. I'm going to try to move myself up just a little bit. You can see I have some adjustments that I did that I'm just going to have to do something with them to fix this long term, but that would be something that if I were to fix the horizon line and do this the proper way, I would have to do that, pre-plan that before I do all the little extra edits that I did. So for that case, I'm just going to leave it alone and put it back for now. I can show you that in class as we go over it, but what I'm meaning by horizon line, I'll show you without taking this layer mask off. The layer mask is in there in order to basically put myself behind my father. So if I'm making myself smaller, I should actually be somewhere around there and behind my dad, so you can kind of see my legs were cut off a little bit. I didn't take a long enough photo. That's a little bit more accurate in size compared to what it would be in real life. Because of that, that's where some of my mistakes laid. So this would definitely make myself fit in a little bit better compared to what my final project was, but it's all about adjusting and just figuring it out. And that's going to be the same thing for you. You're going to want to do whatever you can in order to make this product that you're creating in the end, this project, look as realistic as possible. So what do I mean by horizon line? So for what I could do is I can grab a guide like we spoke about before. I know that the horizon line in this photo is somewhere around here. So basically what I would want to do is I would want to match the horizon line of my image with the horizon line in here. In reality, the horizon line for my photo was all the way down here. So in that case, I would want to make myself smaller, move myself up, make them match, and then I would be accurately inside the photo. So besides for that, the other thing that we did was we talked about color and adjusting that so this way our lighting also matched and everything like that. So some of the things that I did to this project in order to make it work. First thing I did was I analyzed the way that the light was occurring. So when I analyzed my image, basically what I noticed is there was a strong pattern of light coming from above here down onto my father and I. So I wanted to make sure that when I took my image, wherever the light was coming from, I needed it also to be high and to the my left-hand side, just it's like on the left-hand side of each of our faces in the photo. The other thing is some reflected light as all the light beams are coming down this way. There's going to be some kind of reflected light, so it's going to reflect off the ground and bounce up. So you can witness that on the left pant leg of my dad. So I would have to essentially account for that in my photo. So when I set up my camera in order to do this, I put basically a big lamp right here to put on a big amount of light right in front of my face. But then further away, I also set another light in order to bounce up essentially and hit the left-hand side of my pant leg. Now, I pre-planned that, not knowing exactly where I would put myself. So I do have a little bit of reflection on there, but you obviously can't see it because I'm behind my father. Beyond that, what you also want to do is you also want to color balance. Some of the things that I have here, you can see, is I messed with the color. So here is my completely original photo, and this is the way that it looked. Very light, very blue. So the first thing I did was hey, it's a little too bright. I'm going to darken me down a little bit. The next thing was I added a white balance. So I added myself in, made myself look a little bit oranger. The dark areas be a little bit more redder. So this way I would fit a little bit more into this. I noticed I didn't necessarily like the brightness and contrast on my image. I thought it wasn't even like it was for my dad and I. So I kind of added that little bit more contrast on the image. So this way I added the difference, basically like the contrast that's on his right-hand shoulder versus his left-hand shoulder. The other thing is I wasn't quite right in color, so I added another color in. So I did another color balance instead of a white balance. Hue and saturation adjustment, I don't think that necessarily, that did a little bit. I don't know if I wound up clicking that in the end because I didn't think I liked it. And same thing for vibrance. Vibrance just basically is the intensity of the image. I kind of brought it down a little bit. Then you can see I added some brightness and contrast adjustments, but with layer mask. So essentially what it was is I brought some stuff in and I added a layer mask on, so I was only adjusting specific areas. Same thing for this area here. I added an additional layer mask, and that just basically, as you can see, darkened the left-hand side of me. This one over here, it brightened the right-hand side of me because I kind of wanted them to be balanced a little bit more. One last color balance that basically added a little bit more orange. I noticed I wasn't quite orange enough to match the photo, but you can see this in the end is how I left it. Now I can come back in and I can adjust some of those. Like for instance, this one right here is probably a little too strong. So I'm just going to bring down the opacity in a little bit. This way I match more. This project is not a cookie cutter project. So what I did here is not exactly what you have to do for yours. You have to make your pictures match as much as possible. I'm just showing you all the possibilities that you can do. So here's my end product, my father and I, myself in it. It's not my favorite that I've done it in the past. I did show you guys one that I did not too long ago of myself sitting in the computer chair and myself in the background. I think I have that right here in my my downloads. If I were to find this, I would be able to pick it up real quick for you, but it looks like it's kind of starting to be buried already from some of the images that I've already downloaded. So I'll show you that again in class. If you have any questions, let me know. Remember, all your adjustment layers are over here. You can also go up to layer, new live filter. You have a couple other options here for blurring and sharpening. And then your adjustment layers are also here if you can't find them there. All right. So if you have any questions, let me know. Good luck, and thanks for watching.